All right, welcome back to it. Now, my next guest was just at the Oval Office with the president as these executive orders continue to get signed. He was there on Liberation Day, as it was called, but obviously since that time, the stock market has not done particularly well, as you know. In fact, it's been brutal for some, absolutely brutal for some. Today, not looking particularly good either. The pre-market trading shows the stock market will be down another 600 points today. The S&P down, the NASDAQ down, as the American investors continue to take it on the chin. Although, of course, I can guess that the folks that, run these investments, they didn't lose money. But join me now, Brian Pannebecker. Auto Workers for Trump. He's been on the stage with Donald Trump, I think, 7 different times at rallies and so forth, a big supporter. Let's ask him what he thinks about everything that's going on. Brian, good to have you back on the program.
Hey, thanks for having me back on, Steve. I hope you're not going to ask me for financial advice, though.
No, gosh, no. No, I'm going to ask you how the auto workers feel. Look, I keep reading, and I'm sorry, Brian, I don't believe this, that there's all this buyer's remorse for Trump voters. I can't believe I voted for Trump. This is not what I voted for. Not what I'm hearing. Look, you are in Michigan, same place I am. You are from this state. I'm from this state. You worked in the auto industry. I've grown up around it. I know many people who work. I know people that work at General Motors today because that happens to be the factories closest to where I am. I don't hear any buyer's remorse at this point. Even with the stock market down a couple thousand points or 4,000 points that it's down now. I just don't hear it. What about you?
No, Steve, none at all. The guys I talked to, and I've been talking to a lot of the guys that went with me to Washington to the ceremony, the tariff announcement ceremony, I've been in touch with them. And I'm also talking to another big group of auto workers recently because we're going back to the White House for an Oval Office visit sometime in May. We're starting to get prepared for that. So these guys are excited. They're happy. The stock market is a roller coaster. It goes up and down. It's adverse to change, and we're going through some major change. We guys are getting excited because of the depth of what Donald Trump is doing, and he's not playing around. He's not dipping his toe in the water. He's changing the trade policy of the United States, and it's going to have some major ramifications. So no remorse whatsoever. We're still backing him 100%.
All right, so I got a question for you. Very simple. I was just out of the country. I was in Central America for spring break, and I saw all these Chinese vehicles. I mean, literally, Chinese vehicles all over the roads, right? If you didn't have these sorts of pushback by Donald Trump, if you didn't have the tariffs being put on the manufacturers of automobiles in this world, China would soon try to take over the American auto sector, would they not?
You're damn right they would. And you'd be seeing that all over in the United States because they would undercut the American domestic auto producers, and we would have no... Listen, China is not stupid. The Chinese are very smart. And I know President Trump has a lot of respect for Xi Jinping. They would come in and take over our domestic auto industry because they know if they put our manufacturing base out of business, they could walk in here and take over this country. So we're fighting for the survival, basically, of the United States by trying to not just preserve what we have, but to bring back the manufacturing base through the Midwest, which had unfortunately become known as the Rust Belt because so many of our production plants, automotive production plants, had gotten moved to Mexico and other places.
Yeah, no question. Look, it's a bumpy ride right now, but I hear, look, Japan's coming to the table, Taiwan's coming to the table, others coming to the table. If you look at the effect of tariffs on manufacturing in America, it's had a positive effect overall. I say that because back in the 1960s, Lyndon Johnson signed a tariff that put 25% tariffs on light-duty pickup trucks coming in from out of the country, which is why Japan has a factory for Nissan pickup trucks and Toyota pickup trucks here in America. They're built here because if not, there'd be a 25% tariff on them, right? Coming in from Japan. That's why they're built here, right?
That's exactly right. I mean, it's pretty simple. You know, the people that are squealing and hollering right now, they own most of the equity in Wall Street, and they don't ever want to see it dip. This is all going to come back. I saw Peter Navarro on one of the national news programs, and he said, we'll have a 50,000 Dow Industrial average within the next year or two because of Donald Trump's policies. There are going to be companies lined up at the border to come in and build plants and production facilities, not shipping their vehicles in through Mexico, but coming here to build plants and create American jobs and pay taxes to our government. So everybody, I've been saying this since the day after the tariff announcement, Steve, everybody needs to take a deep breath, be patient, have faith, and trust Trump.
And we'll see if that plays out the way you think. You know, and I can't argue with the fact that the Dow could be 50,000. There was a book written a number of years ago, Dow 36,000. The two authors got laughed at right until the Dow passed 36,000. Now, it could pass 36,000 going the other way here in the next few days. It could. I think we hit a high of 44 something on the Dow. But having said that, I believe you're right. I believe there's going to be a resurgence of manufacturing. Now, we can't do everything. We don't have shipbuilding facilities the way China does. So how do we address that? I mean, we're not just going to build factories to build ships overnight. It doesn't work that way. I mean, this is major undertaking, some of it, but this is long-term change, isn't it?
Absolutely. And that's why Trump is going, he's going big. He's not nibbling around the edges. He's not trying to get a couple of plants brought back. He's trying to change the way things are done because it created this problem. Remember, we're $37 trillion in debt. We've lost 90,000 factories over the last 30 years. So that takes a lot of change. So he's not vacuuming the rug. He's tearing the rug up and laying new carpet. We're starting with an entirely new trade policy, and he's got the right team in place. I met a lot of them last Wednesday in the Rose Garden. These people are not messing around. So everybody needs to take a deep breath, have faith, trust Trump, and give this guy 6 months or a year to work. He wrote the book on how to negotiate. Just sit back and watch him do it.
There you go. Brian Pannebecker, Auto Workers for Trump. You're going back in May. We've got about 30 seconds here. What is the event in May?
Well, before the election, they promised me and my group an opportunity to go to the White House and get a group picture taken because a lot of my guys have never met Donald Trump or gotten to shake his hand. And I'm going to take about 20 guys back sometime in May when his schedule lightens up a little bit.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think his schedule actually lightens up, but I look forward to hearing more about that. Brian, thank you as always, my friend.
We'll be talking, Steve. Thank you.
There you have it. Brian Pannebecker. Good man. Picked out of the crowd by Donald Trump because he looks like he lifts small cars for entertainment. He does. He hits the gym pretty well. Anyhow, he's been on the stage 7 times with Donald Trump, I think. We'll take a break and be back. We've got some cleanup to do after that.